Good afternoon and welcome to today's episode of NWCR's Removing a Liberal Blindfold for this, the 15th day of December in the year of our Lord 2025. Democrats keep pushing their agenda that Trump is America's Hitler, that he is a monarch, that he is doing all these bad things. 1 year has passed since he got elected. Why don't we look at what he has actually done? Please subscribe to our daily updates. They are recorded and placed on Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube along with Facebook for your convenience. Listen to the end and then like and subscribe to them so that we can get raised in the ratings so more will hear the truth the media is working hard to keep from us all. And thank you in advance. From Western Journal comes this enlightening one. Op-ed, 1 year after Trump's election. Here's what has changed. Folks, this is something you won't hear from our so-called legacy media, the truth about Donald Trump, our president. Hardly a day passes that the lunatic fringe of the Democrat Party doesn't demonize Donald Trump, wanting him to fail. Despising critics label him as a fascist, a tyrant, America's Hitler. Yet 1 year after his election, any objective review of his administration reveals a far different narrative as the antithesis of any dictator, and despite liberal depictions to the contrary, it portrays a president tirelessly serving the safety, security, and prosperity of the American people. And no review of Trump's second term would be complete without mentioning his resounding success in reversing the border disaster he inherited. Motivated by a political calculation to increase future voters loyal to progressives, Trump's predecessor invited immigrants to surge into the United States. As a result, our southern border became a turnstile, admitting millions of unvetted migrants into our nation. That number, likely larger than the population of all but 10 states, caused a humanitarian crisis for trafficked immigrants, generated huge profits for drug cartels, imposed enormous costs on American taxpayers, and increased crime for all. However, since Trump's election, that Biden-imposed nightmare is ending. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or ICE, October marks 6 consecutive months without Border Patrol releases, compared to over 10,000 released under Biden during the same period a year earlier. Moreover, daily border apprehensions were 95% lower than the daily average under Biden, and total nationwide border crossings were 92% lower than their peak during his administration. However, just as the border invasion has greatly slowed 1 year after Trump's re-election, so has inflation. When Biden took office, inflation was nearly non-existent at 1.4%. However, due to unchecked spending, his average monthly inflation rate was nearly 5% and reached a 40-year high of 9.1% in June of 2022. As Biden claimed that Bidenomics is working, gasoline prices increased by 31%. Home prices rose by 37.4%. And average weekly earnings fell by 4%. And because overall consumer prices rose by 21.5%, consumer confidence dropped to a historic low. More specifically, in June 2022, under Biden, the average cost of a gallon of gas reached $5, and by April 2024, its national average had increased by more than 50% since Biden took office. Compared to Trump's second term, the average monthly inflation rate is 2.7%, and as of the third week of October, the average price of a gallon of gasoline fell to $3.07, the lowest since COVID 2020. Additionally, since Trump's inauguration, wasteful federal spending has decreased through DOGE. Global trade has been significantly rebalanced. U.S. trade deficits have diminished. GDP rose at a 3.1% pace in the third quarter of 2025. Major stock indexes are at record highs, and tariff revenues are at historic levels. But as effective as Trump has been within our borders, he's been equally successful abroad. Aside from playing a key role in the recently celebrated ceasefire and hostage release deal between Israel and Hamas, there have been 5 other conflicts where Trump's actions furthered at least a temporary resolution. Trump has brokered an admittedly fragile ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran and has done the same to end hostilities between the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Rwanda. The same applies to Trump's efforts to end hostilities between India and Pakistan, Cambodia and Thailand, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. In fact, Pakistan and Japan's leaders have recommended Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize, and this year's recipient, Venezuelan's opposition leader Maria Machado, dedicated her award not only to the Venezuelan people, but also to the same Art of the Deal author whom Representative Jasmine Crockett called a piece of shit. Kind of shows where the Democrats live, huh? But because Trump doesn't suffer fools gladly, fights fire with fire, and to some seems abrasive and unpresidential, his many accomplishments are often overlooked or rationalized away. However, the truth that being disliked or even unlikable doesn't mean Trump is always wrong. Just as anyone enjoying widespread popularity and behaving as a prototypical statesman doesn't mean they're always right. Policy and results, not personality, matter most. Besides, 2 things can be true at the same time. Trump may sometimes embellish achievements and respond to smears in kind, yet he still accomplished more for our nation and the world in 10 months than many presidents do during their entire terms. So 1 year after winning re-election, it's time for those with Trump derangement syndrome to separate the president's undeniable successes from his personality. Furthermore, it's also time to realize that the so-called Fuhrer in the Oval Office has irrefutably become far more an American first steward of the people than a tyrannical, me-only servant to himself. The Democrats always claim that he is. And if that doesn't temper TDS, perhaps answering a simple question might clarify things. That is, among numerous other achievements, how could such an evil and wrong-headed person, less than a year after election, secure our border, fix our economy, initiate favorable trade deals, foster peace around the world, be recommended for the Nobel Peace Prize, and as a wannabe Hitler, become a national hero of Israel, unless progressives have been wrong about Trump all along? And with positive evidence mounting daily, it shouldn't take another 12 months to figure out that answer. And now we'll remove the liberal blindfold. TDS has been destructive to the way that America has been seen by the world because too many get the news that is not the truth. It is time the media woke up, and not meaning being woke, and start figuring out what Trump has really done and start reporting on it for once. From the Bible, from Zechariah 8:16, these are things that you shall do. Speak the truth to one another. Render your gates judgments that are true, and make for peace. Peace kind of sounds like what Trump has been working for, doesn't it? But if you listen to the New York Slimes or the Albuquerque Journal or any of the other liberal rags of this nation's media, you won't hear any of that except for a brief mention while still busting his chops in every possible way. Thomas Jefferson once said, "It is error alone which needs the support of government. Truth can stand by itself." My friends, we are losing American exceptionalism and truth because the media has made everyone complacent and unable to vet what the media tells us. We need to start vetting and checking what the media is telling us, because they are lying to us about Trump and what he has done for America. All because he won fair and square, and they can't handle that. Start checking to see what Trump has really done for America, or we will surely go back to the Biden type of destruction that will at some point destroy this nation and our freedoms. Mark my word. Thank you for watching, and as I will always say, we shall not be ruled. NWCR is heard through Conservative Nation Media, or CNN, from behind that silver microphone of freedom, with the voice of reason in this increasingly unreasonable world where America always wins. Again, Please like and subscribe to my video accounts on Rumble, BitChute, and YouTube, and then leave us your comments to let us know what you are thinking. That helps in a big way. Have a good day, and God bless you all.